Hi everyone, welcome to today's session. In this All-Star session, we are going to help you with your listening subtest. So we will discuss some skills which can be really important for you to improve your scores in listening part C because most of the candidates find it really difficult. Let's begin. So before we start the session, my name is Yukti and I'm one of the senior trainers with Career Education. We are Asia's first premium preparation providers, and we have helped many students pass their OET in their very first attempt. So, if you want us to help you with your OET preparation, then the details are on screen. You can contact us through our Instagram handle, which is mentioned over here. You can also contact us through WhatsApp or Facebook ID. And my team will assist you with a range of affordable courses from which you can pick whatever is suitable, and my team will help you with your preparation. Now let's start the session. The aim of today's session is going to be to help you with your scores in listening part C. We will do some activities and we will try to attempt some questions from an authentic listening test. And side by side, I will keep explaining you some skills that can be really important. We will cover an interview extract. As you must be aware, some of you who have already prepared for OET or are preparing for it, you know that the audios in listening part C are going to be a little long. They can be 5 minutes long. So you have to follow that long talk in order to recognize your speaker's thoughts and opinions when it comes to part C. So in this session today, we will do an interview extract. We might not be able to complete it all, but don't worry. With the help of the questions that we will do, I will try to improve your skills. And while you join this session, please do mention in the chat box where you're joining us from, what's your profession, when are you planning to take the test, are you new to OET, or even if you want to leave your email ID in the comment section for my team to reach you, that is completely possible. You can do that. You can leave your email ID in the comment section and my team will contact you, or else you can use the details that I shared in the previous slide to contact us. If you're new to OET and you have no clue what this listening part C is all about, then I'll give you some overview of the listening module. In part A, you will have gap fill questions, which will be 24 in total. So there will be 2 consultation extracts, and each one of them will have 12 questions each. 2 speakers will be talking. One will be the patient, the other one will be the specialist. In part B, there will be some multiple choice questions having 6 short extracts. Again, there could be 1 or 2 speakers here. If it's safety briefing or some training session going on, then there could be just 1 speaker talking. Otherwise, there could be 2 people talking, and the audios will be related to everyday situations in the hospital. This part will have 6 individual questions. And then there will be part C, which will have 2 long extracts. Audios can be somewhere around 4 to 5 minutes long. And there could be 1 or 2 speakers in each extract. Each of that extract will have 6 questions. So in total, there will be 12 questions in part C. So you will have somewhere around 42 questions and you have to score 34 to 35 in order to get a B. That is what's safer. So you have to aim for that. The type of questions that will be covered. In A, there will be specific detail questions in which you have to fill the blanks, listening to some specific information that you're getting from the audio that you hear. Part B will ask you to find purpose, opinion, detail, function, or action. Like for an example, if there is a handover going on and one nurse is assigning a task to the other nurse. So the question may be like, what will the senior nurse, what is the senior nurse asking the junior nurse to do? So wherever you listen to do, that means you will be finding an action there. And in part C, most questions will ask you to find speaker's attitude and opinion. And that will be our focus in today's session. The audios in part C may be related to presentation extracts or interview extracts. All these topics will be accessible healthcare related topics. So, in order to prepare yourself, your goal should be that you listen to as much as possible, listen to the vocabulary related to healthcare related topics as much as possible. And how can you do that? You should practice some authentic OET material, which you will find from OET's official website. It gives you familiarity with the test and it also balances the skill of reading and listening because you have to read the questions and listen to the audio together. There will be some time given to you in the beginning so that you can read the questions and options, but then you have to give it one more reading, like the second reading will be done when the audio is playing. So you're simultaneously reading and listening to find the correct answer. And listening to podcasts and TED Talks related to healthcare topics can be very helpful. This will help you with some academic words, complex academic words and phrases, which may be used in listening part C. And it will also give you familiarity with the technical and professional language, some kinds of signpostings, which can also be helpful. So when you listen to the podcasts, you will also be able to enhance your concentration skills, which is an utmost requirement for Part C's listening. Because long audios will require your complete concentration from beginning till end. Let's begin this session. First of all, I'll be sharing a handy strategy which can be really useful. How much time do you get to read the 6 questions in each extract of Part C? Do you know? You get 90 seconds. And the first goal is to utilize those 90 seconds efficiently because that will set your base and that will also enhance your confidence. Once you've read it properly in the 90 seconds, then you can more confidently listen to the audio and attempt it with concentration. So what should we do in these 90 seconds? First of all, we are going to read the question stem and then we will mark the keywords. Question stems, we are calling them because some of them are not complete questions. A complete question will have a question mark at the end and starts with a question word. But sometimes in listening part C, you will see that it's an incomplete question. So we call it a question stem. And it has to be completed with the help of the options that will be given there. Each of those questions will have 3 options and you have to pick the correct one. So in order to be able to confidently pick it and extract distractors, you have to utilize the 90 seconds efficiency. So after reading your context statement on the top, you have to quickly glance through the options because if you have to select like what is more important, the question or the options. So the question is the most important part here because from the options, only one is going to be correct. The rest two might not be used in the audio, or even if they will be used in the audio, they will be paraphrased in a way that will make them wrong. So you have to read the question very carefully and then quickly glance through the options. You have to concentrate on each and every idea there and you should not panic, even if you miss anything. As I told you, the audios are going to be long, 4 to 5 minutes. And in case you miss any question, so you do not have to think about it and get stuck on it. You have to move on to the next one. Because overall, the topic will be single, but then each of the question will be dealing with a subtopic. And even if you miss one of the questions, you might not miss the other one. If you start concentrating again, you will start catching the next answer. So you don't have to panic. And at the end of the test, you will get 2 minutes in which time you can come back to that question and think about it. So let's quickly start with our first activity. Here are 2 pictures on your screen. Both of them are having 2 people, like one could be the interviewer, the other one could be the interviewee. I want you to take a moment and think what kind of an interview is happening here and which one of these can be used in listening part C. So, in picture A, there is some private kind of an interview going. This will not be used in your listening parts. Picture B, on the other hand, is having a kind of an interview which can be aired on a radio or maybe a TV channel. So that is the type of an interview that you can expect to be listening to in part C. Why am I doing this activity with you? Because I want you to imagine from the audience perspective. You are sitting there and listening to an expert, maybe a specialist or a healthcare professional, talking about a case study, their experience, or any healthcare related topic that they're sharing. And anybody who is listening to that conversation can get some knowledge out of it. So please listen to the audio from that perspective. And then you will get some this kind of a context sentence on top. We call it context because it gives you the whole context of the audio. It prepares you. In other words, it prepares you for what you're going to be listening to. So our context statement is you will hear an interview with an epidemiologist called Rachel Tisnedo, who's an expert on yellow fever. When you listen to when you read this context statement in the paper, you have to think that who's an epidemiologist and what do they do? So you have to think it in your head, and once you know that an epidemiologist is a professional who studies infectious diseases in order to understand how they spread, etc. So now you will know before the audio plays, you know on the basis of this context that what all subtopics are going to be covered in the audio. And this can actually enhance your confidence because you can be better prepared to listen to that audio. So this information will be very helpful. And after listening and understanding your context statement, you have to listen from the audience perspective. So what do you do in the 90 seconds when you're reading the question and answer options? You have to first of all pick the keywords. Example, if the question says what first led Dr. Tisnedo to develop an interest in yellow fever, you have to pick the keywords which can be really important in this question. And then you have to quickly glance through the answer options. So I want you to take a moment and decide which of the words can be the keywords here. Now, I want you to look at my keywords and see if yours are matching mine. So I picked first, led, develop, and interest. So for each question, you have to follow this. You have to first pick the keywords and then you have to quickly glance through the options. Now, I'm not showing you the options right away. I'll show them to you in the next slide. But first, let's discuss about the skill. How is this helping us? Marking the keyword can help you match the language. I want you to listen to this short audio clip where they are discussing, where they are talking about the main topic, that's yellow fever. I want you to listen to the interviewer's question and see how are these keywords matching the audio. Let's check.
We're talking today with Dr. Rachel Tisnedo, a highly respected epidemiologist and expert on yellow fever. Dr. Tisnedo, firstly, what is yellow fever, and what triggered your deep interest in this disease?
Simply put, yellow fever is...
Did you notice? He is here saying...
Yellow fever, and what triggered your deep interest in this disease?
What is yellow fever and what triggered your deep interest in this disease? So, as a candidate now, what you have to do is you have to think that what of these words are matching so that you can be fully prepared that I'm going to get my answer in the initial part of the of this answer or the last part, because he here is asking two questions. He's saying, what is yellow fever?
We're talking today with Dr. on yellow fever. Dr. Tisnado, firstly, what is yellow fever and what triggered your deep interest in this disease?
What is yellow fever and what triggered your deep interest in this? So, of course, Dr. Tisnado will now answer both his questions one by one. And as a candidate, now I am fully prepared that I will focus on the second part more, because there he is using the terms like triggered your deep interest. And when I read the question, I know that this triggered deep interest is paraphrased as first led to develop your interest in yellow fever. The words interest and yellow fever were being used as it is in the audio, if you've noticed. So that kind of an understanding is very important. You have to first pick the keywords. Then when you're listening to the audio, you have to decide that in what part of this audio or what part of this answer am I going to match my options. Then you will get your options like this. So I will wait for 15 seconds so that you can read these options and the question once again. Based on the practice that we just did, we will try to find the answer. All right, let's see. So we picked the words first led, develop, and interest. Now I'm playing the whole audio clip for you so that you can try to connect it with the options. A says it's preventable nature. B, a family connection. And C says the way in which it spreads. Let's check.
We're talking today with Dr. Rachel Tisnado, a highly respected epidemiologist and expert on yellow fever. Dr. Tisnado, firstly, what is yellow fever and what triggered your deep interest in this disease?
Simply put, yellow fever is a viral disease transmitted most commonly to humans and also monkeys by infected mosquitoes in parts of Central and South America, and also Africa. It takes about 3 to 6 days for the illness to begin after the initial mosquito bite. But what's so interesting to me is that up to a week after symptoms appear, an infected person can actually retransmit the infection to the mosquitoes who bite them, forming a seemingly endless cycle. That was the point that grabbed me and pulled me in, so to speak. And then what kept me involved was the fact that my son, who was 22 at the time, then contracted this disease just after my research had begun. The distressing part for me, not only as a doctor but a mother, was that this could have been avoided if only he'd taken the recommended precautions. A simple vaccine.
So what did you choose? A, B, or C? Let's match your answer. I will show you the transcript here. I can see this is what Dr. Tisnado said. Now, when I marked my keywords, I knew that I'm going to focus on first led, develop, and interest. And then I got something matching in the question there when the interviewer said, what triggered your deep interest? So now, when the doctor is going to answer his question, she will use something that will help me with my answer. And what did she say? She says it takes about 3 to 6 days for the illness to begin after the initial mosquito bite. But what's so interesting to me is that, so here I got my keyword matching as it is. What's so interesting to me is that up to a week after symptoms appear, an infected person can retransmit the infection to the mosquitoes who bite them, forming a seemingly endless cycle. And then, how do I get fully sure that this is my answer? Because she says that was the point that grabbed me and pulled me in. So when she said that was the point that grabbed me and pulled me in, I could connect it, and I now know that my answer is going to be C. I'm reading and listening at the same time to mark it. So when she said that is the point that grabbed me and pulled me in, I'm quickly going to mark my answer as the final one. Then she further discusses that what kept me involved was this family connection. So they distract you by saying that a family connection with it because she talks about it. However, that's not the answer because she says that's then what kept me involved. So this family connection kept her involved. But that's not what my question is asking. My question is asking what first led to the interest. So how did she develop this interest in the very first place? And for that, the answer is going to be C. That simply means the candidate who was focusing on the keywords and was listening for that will easily get the answer. And if you'll still get stuck on the options and keep thinking about them, then there are chances you may get distracted and pick the wrong one. That could be B. So C is the only right answer, and we get help from the keywords that we picked initially. Hope that helps. Let's try one more question. So here's your next question, question number 32. It says, Dr. Desnado feels that people are failing to get vaccinated against yellow fever because of. Now, as you can see, this is a question stem. There is no question mark at the end. And you have to complete it with the help of the options that will be provided to you. But I want you to focus here because this question stem is a little lengthy. So how should we deal with a lengthy question stem? The technique will remain same. We will try to pick the keywords, but here we'll try to focus more on what are we looking for. So Dr. Tisnado feels that people are failing to get vaccinated because of. So because of suggests that we are looking for a reason here. We are looking for a reason why people are failing. That means people are not getting the vaccination for yellow fever. So here you're going to look for the reason why people are not getting vaccinated. Again, I want you to listen to the question once and match.
If the vaccine for yellow fever is available, why are people avoiding it?
Did you notice? What did they use in the audio? They said, if the vaccine is available, why are people avoiding? So they did not use the same question, but because you read it carefully and you knew that you're looking for the reason, in the audio also they said, why are people avoiding? So my focus is going to be on this part here. Why? In order to find the reason why people are avoiding the vaccination now, I need to read the options and then match them. So let's go to the next slide for that. And here are the options. Again, I'll wait for 15 seconds so that you can quickly read it. I hope you've read. So your understanding has to be clear. Why people are not getting the vaccine? Is it because of lack of fact-based guidance? Is it because of the existence of conflicting accounts on websites? Or because of well-founded concerns about the extent of adverse reactions? What is the reason that people are not getting the vaccine? Let's now listen to the audio.
If the vaccine for yellow fever is available, why are people avoiding it?
It's highly recommended to all travelers who plan to visit particular regions, and the large majority follow this advice. However, individual beliefs and personal choice greatly impact this, which include concerns over serious side effects, which I should point out are rare. In this day and age, information on vaccination is now readily available to all through the internet and social media, which sadly is where a lot of people are gathering their so-called facts, which then lead to their decision-making. With all good information, there's also misinformation, and this is the dangerous part because that misinformation is often included in the formation of people's beliefs. Instead of communicating with medical professionals, which is vital, the factual data is sometimes overlooked, and that's when people run the risk of potential infection.
So, if you've carefully listened, there were a lot of hints here. Let's see if you caught them. So, she says it's highly recommended to all travelers who plan to visit particular region, and the large majority follow this advice. However, individual beliefs and personal choices impact this. But now none of my options is talking about individual beliefs and personal choices. So I need to look for something that is the basis of these beliefs and choices. That is helping people form these beliefs and choices. So she says, which include concerns over serious side effects. Now, if you're not carefully listening, you may pick C as an answer. Side effects, adverse reactions. But the complete option says well-founded concerns. But Dr. Tisnado says, which I should point out are rare. So she means the side effects are rare. So these cannot be well-founded. So C is not your answer. And at this point, you should put a cross on the left side. And whatever you do on the question paper, right side, if you put a cross or a tick mark, you can leave it as it is. The main answer has to be marked on the left side. So here you do not have to write anything. But if you're listening and one of the options is not matching and you want to eliminate that option, you can put a cross mark on the right side of the paper. Even if you're taking computer-based OET, you can eliminate the wrong answer by double-clicking on the mouse. It will just strike off the whole option. Anyway, moving on. So she says, in this day and age, information on vaccination is readily available through internet and social media, which is where a lot of people are gathering their so-called facts. Now I can connect it. So individual beliefs are impacting it. And where are people gathering their facts from? They're gathering it from social media. And which option is talking about social media and internet? It's option number B. Existence of conflicting accounts on websites. That becomes my answer. So your right answer here is B. Adverse reactions are rare. So C is not your answer. Lack of fact-based guidance from specialists, she did not say anything about. She said this is dangerous because misinformation is included in formation of people's beliefs. Rather than communicating with a professional, factual data is overlooked. So she is not saying that information or guidance from specialists is not available. She is saying people, instead of communicating with a specialist, they form their beliefs on the basis of what they read on social media or internet. So B is the right answer. C is the opposite to what she said. A is not used completely in the audio. That's how you have to deal with each question in part C. Here is a little activity that you can try. I will quickly play the audio, and there are 4 statements written over here. So in order to strike off, like eliminate or tick whether the option is matching with the audio or is not matching, you have to always listen, match. So that is reading and listening together. Although you do not get any true false questions in the exam, but this little activity will help you concentrate better and work on the skill of marking a cross or tick on the right side of your question paper when you listen to the audio. So there are 4 statements written here, and all of those will be used in the audio. While listening, I want you to mark true or tick if it's coming as it is, false or cross if it's not coming in the audio or if it is wrong. So I will give you 15 seconds to read these 4 sentences and then I'll play the audio for you. This can be a really helpful skill to strike off or pick the right answer. Now, please listen and follow. If it's coming in the audio, you put a tick. If it's not coming and is wrong, you put a cross.
Now, I know your son fortunately survived. Can you tell us more about his case?
Unfortunately, he was in the group that overlooked the available data and my advice. But he was only a young adult at the time, so I can hardly blame him for this. He was lucky. Yellow fever is characterized by 2 stages. In the first, symptoms such as headache, fever, and muscle pain are common. About 15 to 25% then progress to the second stage, known as the toxic stage. And if he'd progressed to that level, I may no longer have a son. Of those who do enter the second stage, half die within 10 to 14 days after onset of the illness.
So, does she blame her son for ignoring the advice? No. So you can strike it off on the right side or you can put a cross because she says that he was just a young individual and I can hardly blame him for the choices that he made. So she is not blaming him. About 1/4 patients suffering from yellow fever progress to the second stage. Tick. It is said. She said 25%. So it is 1/4. Then third one, Tisnedo's son was in second stage called the toxic stage. It's wrong. It's false because he did not enter the second stage. She says, if he would have entered, I would no longer have a son. That means he did not enter the second stage. He was saved before that. And the last one says 50% of the patients who enter the second stage die. That's yes, because she said half of them. Now, what does this activity help us with? This helps us with the skill of reading and listening together because this is what you're actually doing. Although there were sentences written, so you were matching them for me, but you were reading and listening together. And this is what you have to do because in audios, the language will be paraphrased. The answer options will not as it is come, they will be changed a little. So you have to be very careful while listening. That means you cannot listen for just one word or just one part of the option, like in the previous question we did. If you will only listen for side effects or adverse reactions and match it, then you will not be able to find it. You have to listen for complete meanings in part C. So, with this last question, we can revise the steps that we were discussing. Step 1, mark the keywords. Step 2, focus on what part of the question you require to find. Like, is it a reason that you need to look for, or is it something else? Like here it says, what does Dr. Tisnado tell us about her son? So here we are focusing on the part wherever she starts talking about her son, we need to find out what is she telling us about him. So mark the keywords, look which part of the question will you focus on most, especially if it is a long question stem. Then quickly glance through the options. Each question should take somewhere around 15 seconds because in total you're getting 90 seconds for 6 questions. So you have to divide time properly. So somewhere around 15 seconds you should spend on each question. And then while reading options, you should be prepared that when the audio starts, this language will not come as it is, but I will be listening for the meanings there. Let's do this last question together. And again, I'll give you 15 seconds so you can properly read and understand it. Okay, now I want you to listen to the audio here.
Now, I know your son fortunately survived. Can you tell us more about his case?
Unfortunately, he was in the group that overlooked the available data and my advice. But he was only a young adult at the time, so I can hardly blame him for this. He was lucky. Yellow fever is characterized by 2 stages. In the first, symptoms such as headache, fever, and muscle pain are common. About 15 to 25% then progress to the second stage, known as the toxic stage. And if he'd progressed to that level, I may no longer have a son. Of those who do enter the second stage, half die within 10 to 14 days after onset of the illness.
So what did you choose? Let's match. She says, unfortunately, he was in the group that overlooked the available data and my advice, but he was only a young adult at that time, so I can hardly blame him for this. So B is the right answer. His age and inexperience may explain the decisions he made. A, he was close to entering the second stage. She never said that. She said, if he had progressed to that level, I may no longer have a son, but nowhere she says that he was close to entering the second stage. Then C says he was quick to take advantage of effective treatment options, but nowhere in the audio she mentions that he was quickly able to take advantage of the effective treatment options. So when listening, you have to follow the same thing that you did in the previous activity. Put a tick or a cross. If you heard it, put a tick. If it's not matching, put a cross. He was close, he wasn't. She said if he had progressed, so cross. His age and inexperience may explain. Yes, that was said in the very beginning of the conversation, answer, the response, that I can hardly blame him for this and he was only a young adult. So a tick there, because age, young adult, inexperience, hardly blame him for this. So we are putting a tick there. And C was nowhere said, so maybe you can just put a question mark or leave it like that. But by the end of it, you will know that your answer is B. It's not A, it's not C. So this technique will help you with most of the questions in part C. We could do only 3 because the session cannot be very lengthy. But if you wish to learn more skills and techniques, you can join our courses. One quick question that I'm going to leave here, and you can write your answers in the comment section for that. I explained it in the beginning of the video. So if you watched it carefully, you can write in the comment section that does part C require you to write mark an answer on the basis of any specific data, statistic, or figure. Example, can any of the question be like, how many people died of yellow fever in year 2010 in Australia? And the options could be 10,000, 20,000, or 5,000. Can this type of a question be used in listening part C? In the comment section, you can write yes or no. And if you are unsure, you can go to the beginning of this lesson and you will find its answer. Please do maintain a notebook. Keep writing difficult words that you're coming across. That will really help in the final stretch of your preparation. And as I said, in order to let us help you with your preparation of OET, you can please join our courses. And for that, you can contact us through the information which is given on the screen. Happy learning and all the best for your preparation. Thank you so much for attending the session.